The presence of Jubaland forces in Mandera County has been a subject of recent controversy and conflicting narratives. Local residents and Mandera political figures in Kenya have raised alarms alleging that these Jubaland forces have occupied areas within Mandera, leading to significant disruptions in daily life. Schools have been forced to close, businesses have been paralyzed, and families have been displaced, all stemming from a perceived threat and instability brought by the presence of these foreign forces. Kenyans have continued to question why Jubaland forces are being allowed into the Kenyan borders and how secure is the Kenyan sovereignty and security of the borders. So who are these Jubaland forces and why do they have so much freedom on Kenyan soil? While this looks like an invasion, key details can now reveal that the Kenyan government has been aware of the presence of Jubaland forces in Kenya, and it is not a coincidence, but they are there courtesy of the Kenyan government. Now this is why Jubaland forces have camped in Mandera. Kenya has played a notable role in supporting the Jubaland initiative. Somalia, as the federal government established on August 20th, 2012 through AMISOM intervention after the collapse of the Somali Democratic Republic in 1991 and the subsequent uprising of the Al-Shabaab militia group, now a terror group. Somalia has a federal state as the Federal Government of Somalia FGS at the national level and 5 federal member states including Jubaland, Southwest, Banadir, Hishabelle and Galmudug at the regional level. Each of the federal member states of Somalia have their own armed forces or paramilitary groups such as the Jubaland Security Forces, famously known as Darawish, alongside the National Somali National Army SNA. The conflict between Jubaland forces and the Somalia National Army stems from a constitutional crisis over the re-election of Jubaland's president, Ahmed Mohamed Islam, famously known as Ahmed Madobe, for a third term in November 2024. The federal government of Somalia, led by President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Bare, declared the election of Madobe unconstitutional, citing violations of term limits and lack of universal vote. The election of Madobe used Somalia's clan-based indirect voting system. Jubaland, however, views the election as legitimate and accuses the federal government of Somalia of interference. In response, Mogadishu issued an arrest of warrant against Madobe, accusing him for treason, undermining national unity, and leaking classified information. Jubaland retaliated by issuing its own arrest warrant for President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, alleging treason and incitement of civil unrest. In response to FGS action, Jubaland announced it would suspend ties with the federal government of Somalia and refuse to recognize recent constitutional and electoral amendments.
I believe the government needs to have the constitution properly interpreted to it. I was elected through the same process as the federal government. They just want to cause mischief. That's what they want to do.
Heavy fighting broke out in Ras Kamboni, a strategic coastal town near the Kenya-Somalia border, on December 11, 2024. Jubaland's forces clashed with Somalia National Army troops airlifted in the area, reportedly to replace withdrawing Africa Union Transition Mission in Somalia ATMI's forces, which included Kenyan forces. Jubaland accused the Somalia National Army of initiating the conflict with drone strikes, while the Somali National Army SNA claimed Jubaland forces attacked first. The clashes resulted in Jubaland forces capturing Ras Kamboni, with reports of multiple deaths, mostly of the Somalia National Army troops, hundreds of Somalia National Army soldiers surrendering to Kenyan forces, and the Somalia National Army's eventual withdrawal from the lower Juba. Again, fierce clashes occurred in Beled Awo, a border town in Gedo region, on July 22nd and August 11, 2025. In July, at least 5 people were killed when the Somali National Army launched an offensive to control the town, with both sides together with Jubaland forces claiming to have repelled the other. In August, renewed fighting led to the death of senior commanders within the Somali National Army SNA, capturing a main village near Beled Awo, forcing Jubaland troops to retreat into Kenya and towards Ethiopia. Listen to what the Kenyan Interior Security Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said when asked about Jubaland forces in Mandera.
We cannot confirm now whether they were forces of where, who they are. It's only until you do proper security analysis and investigations that you get to know, is it forces, is it civilians, and so forth. It is also it's also important to note that such security issues are handled in as security issues. So if we reach a stage where there is any challenge, we will tell the country. But at the moment, we don't have any.
Kenya and Ethiopia have historically supported Jubaland forces, and their forces have backed Jubaland troops in clashes like those in Dolo. The Jubaland forces fled into Kenya, specifically in Mandera, and built makeshift shelters for training. The so-called Somali National Army has been surrounding Mandera, targeting the fleeing Jubaland forces. So why would Jubaland forces run and occupy Kenyan territory without fear of being questioned? Furthermore, Kenyan forces have not attacked the Jubaland forces in Kenya. Why? After the fall of the Islamic Courts Union in 2006 and the rise of Al-Shabaab, various clan-based militias in southern Somalia organized themselves to fight insurgents and control territories. In 2011, the Kenya Defense Forces KDF entered Somalia under Operations Linda Nchi to fight Al-Shabaab in Jubaland regions. They trained and armed local Somali militias allied to them. These militias later formed the backbone of the now Jubaland forces. Kenya's interest was to create a buffer zone in Jubaland to shield its border counties of Mandera, Wajir and Garissa from Al-Shabaab infiltration.
Mine is just to add some 2-3 points. One, I would like to tell the country that Al-Shabaab is no longer a ragtag group. Al-Shabaab is becoming stronger and stronger as the days goes, and I can confirm that in our counties, a huge chunk of the area is now being partially controlled by Al-Shabaab. I can tell you for Mandera, Al-Shabaab presence and sightings are more than 60% of Mandera county. What that means is that we are no longer be able to go out of our headquarters to provide services to the people of our counties.
After I asked William Ruto to explain about the alleged meeting he did in Mandera with Al-Shabaab, some leaders in that area, the governor, the senator, and some MPs, were accusing me of having called the people of Mandera terrorists. Let me say very clearly, the people of Mandera are very innocent, and they have nothing to do with these accusations. The accusations are against William Ruto, not the people of Mandera. The fact that the meeting is alleged to have taken place in Mandera does not make the people of Mandera party to any such meeting. And I have seen a concerted effort to try to draw a wedge between me and the people of Mandera and the people of northeastern Kenya. And let me take this opportunity to say that I have tremendous respect for that community. Those are very honorable people. And myself, I do business with people in the Somali community. And indeed, Yvonne, one day if you want to do business, the Somali people are very good people to do business with.
The Jubaland President Ahmed Madobe, a former Islamic Courts Union commander turned an anti-Al-Shabaab, Madobe then rose to power in Jubaland with Kenyan support and established a militia group, the Raskamboni Brigade, to help fight Al-Shabaab at the expense of Kenya and its border regions. Under Madobe's leadership and Kenyan support, the Raskamboni Brigade, which became a Kenyan-backed militia, is one that transformed into the Jubaland Jubaland security forces. This support was largely driven by Kenya's own national security interest, particularly the desire to use Jubaland forces as a shield weapon along its border regions to mitigate the destabilizing effects of conflict and terror activities emanating from Somalia.
And even as we speak today, half of Mandera is occupied by forces from Jubaland. And I would have expected these leaders over the weekend, the governor, the senator, the MPs, who are making a lot of noise about refugee, to have defended the people of Mandera from the incursions by forces from Jubaland instead of castigating Rigathi Gachagua.
Tunasimama kati ya border ya Kenya na Somalia. Hapo ni amani, tunafanya amani pamoja. Hakuna shida yoyote.
However, Jubaland security forces movements into Mandera breach Kenya's sovereignty and fuel tension with Somalia's federal government, which has sustained relationships with Kenya over Jubaland recognition. The president of Jubaland, Ahmed Mohamed Islam alias Madobe, serves as the supreme commander of the Jubaland forces. This direct chain of command signifies the political leadership's direct control over the Jubaland forces' military operations and strategic direction. As Jubaland forces' occupation of Mandera County continue to draw condemnation, its leader, Madobe, is an ally of the Kenyan government, and Kenya has been supporting the autonomy of the Jubaland state from the federal government of Somalia. The KDF trains, equips, and supports the operations of the Jubaland forces, who are now working with the Kenya National Intelligence Service NIS-fronted Special Operations Group SOG in the border war against Al-Shabaab.
Watu ambao wameumiza jina za wamemalizana huko nchi yao, wamefuruga, wamekuja hapa. Sisi hatuna vita, sisi hatuna silaha ya kujilinda, maisha yetu iko hatarini. Sisi hapa mahali sisi tunaishi, kuna banda lingine, banda ya kusini, kuna serikali, kuna askari yetu iko hapo. Banda ya magharibi iko Ethiopia. Banda ya kaskazini iko banda ya serikali ya Somalia. Banda ya huko chini ya banda ya northern side kuna Jubaland. Hapa wanaishi hapa famu zetu. Tulienda kila mahali, tuliongea ya kutosha. Tumeenda kwa serikali, tumeenda kwa county, tumeenda kwa DC, county commissioner, ametuambia hawa watatolewa. Hawakutoa.
Hii watu wanasimama hapa peke yake ndio wanaishi Bibon. Watu wengine wote tangu hawa walikuja tarehe 30 mwezi ulipita mpaka wa leo wako 33 days hapa. Watu ni hawa tu. Wengine wamehama. Wale watu wanaishi Bibon saa hii ni hii peke yake. Wengine wote wamehama pamoja watoto yao. Shule imefungwa, shule yetu hakuna watoto ya kusoma, shamba yetu imefungwa na watu wa Jubaland, Malaysians. Wako hapa kwa shamba yetu, wanafanya training hapa, watoto wetu hawasomi, sisi hatulali usiku na mchana, tunaogopa. So, what I want to tell the president of this country, if you want from us to vote for you 2027, flush these people from here, from our country. Flush them away today.
This is the Brief Channel.